was the last one you said, Brett?
Well, he needs either, he needs Nevada or Michigan.
That would do it. 274. Michigan, that would do it. Wisconsin, that would do it. On the ground here, however, in Michigan, this is the state of play. And Joe Biden has a lead. You know, from 20 years ago in Tallahassee, you know, we were talking last night about count every vote. You know, that theme from the Democrats and Al Gore. It makes a lot of sense. But what Jonathan Turley said about 20 minutes ago makes a lot of sense, too. Because we've moved from counting votes to trying to figure out what is a vote. And the situation in Florida led all the courts and ultimately to the U.S. Supreme Court to try and figure out what is voter intent. You're going to hear a lot about that phrase. What is the intent of a voter? 20 years ago, it was that Chad, that little piece of paper that was on the ballots that was not uniform throughout the 67 counties in Florida. Is it 3 corridors torn?
Butterfly.
Is it yeah, well, the butterfly ballot was in Palm Beach. You're right about that. And that was a whole different, set of can of worms there. But the Chad was, are 2 corners peeled off or 3? And then they went down, Brett, as you recall, whether or not there was a dimple placed in the Chad itself. Now, that question moved to the state Supreme Court in Tallahassee at least twice, as I recall, then ultimately to the U.S. Supreme Court in early December. But this whole question about voter intent, just to prepare our viewers, if we go to the courts now, that's going to be the movement and really where the intensity for the story goes. And it's going to be less about the numbers on this map throughout the country and more about a couple thousand votes here, a couple hundred votes over here to figure out who ultimately can be declared the winner.
It seems like the voter intent question this time around will be focused on those mail-in ballots, Bill, and whether or not if someone didn't sign it and they sent it in, is that voter intent? Things along those lines. If they send it in and it doesn't have a postmark, does that make it clear that they obviously wanted to vote? Yeah. So that's going to be our version of the hanging Chad.
Yeah, you're right, Martha. I would just add to that. We're just starting to get into those definitions. It's going to take us time to understand it based on different states. But we got a clue again from the Secretary of State of Pennsylvania last hour when she talked about how a lot of the envelopes that went out to voters in Pennsylvania, not universally, but depending on what the county wanted, they would put a date or a marker on that envelope to denote that had been received and then had been put in the mail as of yesterday at the close of business. So we're going to get into this. We're going to understand it as we go, and we'll figure out what voter intent is in some of these states that are too close to call.
Bill, thank you. You know, we're taking all these